Minister, I think this bill is a missed opportunity. It reduces the number of TDs from 166 to 158, a reduction of 8, or less than 5%. Now, on the basis that we each cost the Exchequer about 250,000, that's a saving of about €2 million. But is it going to make the Oireachtas more effective? Is it going to make democracy more effective in Ireland? Not a single bit. And I think it could have. The question that this bill should have been addressing is, what's the problem that needs to be fixed? After participating in this Dáil for nearly 2 years, I can state that the Oireachtas does not work. Now, before I was elected, I worked with large public and private sector organisations, helping them to transform their cultures, to have high-performing cultures. And I can safely say, Minister, that in terms of cultural dysfunction, the Oireachtas is, in my experience, in a league completely of its own. Now, a lot of this is down to centralised cabinet power. As you know, we have the most centralised power structure of any Western democracy. This House does not hold the executive to account. In the Chamber, government backbenchers always vote along party lines, or they get thrown out of the party. And this isn't normal. In other democracies, this doesn't happen. In other democracies, elected representatives within government parties do vote against their governments, and they are not thrown out of their parties. Now, legislating for the X case is on the agenda right now for very tragic reasons. Tomorrow night, government TDs will vote against the motion, even though many of them will agree with it. And when it does finally come before the House, from the government side, what's going to happen? Well, one Labour TD was quoted in the newspapers on Sunday as saying there shouldn't be a free vote, because if you had a free vote for this, you could have a free vote for anything. So putting aside the illogic, the lack of logic of that statement, it's a very telling statement. What he's saying is directly elected representatives should not, under any circumstances, ever be allowed vote as they see fit to exercise their democratic mandate. The committees, well, I sit on the Finance Committee, and I can tell you it's not independent. It doesn't hold either Minister Howlin or Noonan to account. And the level of control by the Cabinet is so pervasive that Peter Matthews was unable to get the wording changed on an invitation to the Governor of the Central Bank, Patrick O'Neill. Regarding political funding, I have suggested that all political funding go directly to the TDs, and if they want to then give that into their parties, they should be allowed to do that. And party backbenchers have argued vehemently against this, terrified that it would transfer power from them and democratic accountability from them, from their parties to them. So here is my question to my fellow deputies. If we do not vote according to our judgment, our conscience, or in the interests of those who we represent, if we cannot publicly disagree with, with the leaders of parties we may be in, and if we don't even want political funding to come to us, then what are we doing here? What are we, as members of Dáil Éireann, doing here? Article 28 of the Constitution says the following, quote, "The government shall be responsible to Dáil Éireann." But it's not. The government, or the Cabinet, completely controls Dáil Éireann.